You see this
Like,
poster? Absolutely nothing on this happens.
yeah, it's like a great Medusa party, man. Everybody's getting stoned.
Like, seriously, get out. Like, right now.
Everyone thinks because you're a zombie, you don't know good coffee. Well, they're wrong. There's only one brew that gets my seal of approval. Deadly Grounds coffee is my guilty pleasure. The aroma is all of my neighbors out of the woodwork. Deadly Grounds coffee. Coffee to die for and zombie approved. It's good to get a little deadly. Use the front door! Oh, they're so disgusting.
The Dorkening and all affiliated shows are not intended for anyone under the age of 18. The following may contain discussions or scenes that have adult situations, graphic violence, nudity, strong sexual content, and graphic language. This show is intended for mature audiences only. Viewer discretion is advised.
Hello, and welcome to the Tomb of the Terrible. I am your humble servant, UncleNecRo, and joining me tonight are Del, Friday, and Chaos, and also Ron. How you guys doing? That'll make sense later. But
we're doing good. It's Ratatosker's 2-year anniversary of being part of the Owlite Network. He is celebrating with some butter pecan moonshine, and he's kind of sad that this show is his 2-year anniversary because not Tomb of the Terrible in general, but the movie that we had to watch for it. He wasn't nearly as thrilled as he was hoping he would be.
Tell your friend there not to go anywhere near New York because they'll just kill him. You haven't seen?
Oh, yeah. That was, let's have a moment of silence for the squirrel.
Mr. Peanut. I mean, come on, he had a hat. So now that I've brought everybody down here, tonight we are continuing down this dark, twisted path that Del has set us up on by exploring the Amityville movies with discussing the 2023. Is it more of a short movie or a movie-ette? Anyway, we watched Amityville Emanuelle. It was written by Gino McGee and directed by Louis Di Stefano. Amityville Emanuelle defies your expectations by featuring no Amityville house and no actual Emmanuel, but does feature a young set of friends who, when happens to be the before then never mentioned surviving daughter of George Lutz, manages to make a purchase of the house of her dreams, is gifted the ashes of a deranged killer given to her in a cocktail shaker for some reason. And suddenly she starts acting all weird and stuff. Is she possessed or just incredibly horny? Whatever it is, don't forget to order the pizza. So, is this everybody's first time watching this? Yeah, same here. Same here. We have a lot to say about this movie. And I guess we'll start with the what was our first impressions of this, Del?
Well, given that we actually do research a little bit before we just watch these guys. Emmanuelle is supposed to be something that would be a grabber as well as the Amityville as far as clickbait goes, because there are a series of Emmanuelle movies that started back in the 70s. And it's kind of like a slightly less porn version of The Devil in Miss Jones, but it's a woman who's out exploring all of her adult needs. And they apparently just figured if they had somebody who got hot over people in this one, that would count. Like, ooh, look, we're going to have a woman who wants to have sex. We can call it Emmanuelle, even though there's nobody in there called Emmanuelle. And so, I don't know. I guess I don't know whether to be excited or disappointed that there was not as much involved as I thought there was going to be, because there could have been some pretty nasty stuff, but they decided to go with I don't know what rating, but just it was very odd. I was not really completely prepared for this movie. We have a lot of screenshots too we'll share as we get going later on, but
Goody.
I'm not sure what to think of this movie. But we'll do that, and then when we get back to the next round, I'll show the different pictures so we can
Sure.
kind of discuss things. Okay.
All right, Friday. What was your first impression of this movie?
Seems like their basis of taking the Amityville name is taking the idea of what happened and turning it into his serial killer dad, him being the original killer, and then him having that's the only way I can find a link to it. I am glad that it was not so Emmanuelle as some of the films you might find with the name. There were a few sex scenes, but it was not overly, well, however everybody thinks about the P-word films. That's, some people love porn, some people don't. But either way, I'm glad it had a plot that you could follow. And yeah.
Yeah, at least there was that. Chaos, what was your first impression?
Besides the fact that it had the plot, I do gotta admit there was one link to the other style of films, and that was that one lady's level of acting. It was about the same level of acting that would have been in those films.
So, all right, and I'm sure we'll get to that here sooner or later. Ron, what was your first impression of this movie?
My first impression was that, oh wow, they actually have a cool premise for this movie. Maybe this one won't be as bad as some of the other ones that we watched. And then about halfway through it, I started to lose interest, so I went to start cooking dinner instead and kept the movie on in the background, and probably missed a whole lot of what was going on because it was just exposition without a lot of action. And I wanted to like this movie more than I actually did because I still thought it was a good storyline. It failed to launch.
Yeah, and let me just say, you didn't really miss much by making your dinner. You made
Well,
the good.
I tried to
good
tune back
choice.
in for the sex scenes, but even those were meh at best.
So, Tom Dog, welcome. Better
Howdy.
late than never. And what was your first impression of this movie?
Oh boy. I agree that with Ron that it was more about exposition than dialogue and the plot of the movie and everything. Should have been called Amityville Exposition.
Made more sense.
and this, and for a runtime that was like 66 minutes, I don't know. It seemed longer with the with a lot of talking, not a lot of death scenes and everything like that. It just felt like a pilot to a new series that never got off the ground. And yeah, the interesting in some parts, but the rest of it, I don't know. But nonetheless, it happened.
Yeah. Also, was this your first time watching this movie?
Yes.
Okay. All right. So as for me, at first, before I watched the movie, I thought, oh, it's only an hour and 6 minutes. And I could find it on YouTube, which meant I could play it at 1.5 speed. So by the time I got to the end, my actual first impression was, wow, that was almost a movie. Somehow. Love you too there, Raz. Can't wait till you're back with us. But with some trivia here, moving along. This was director Louis DeStefano's first directorial movie, and he also plays Detective James in this movie. Writer Gino McGee produced the movies Call Me Emmanuelle, The Awakening of Emmanuelle, which makes me wonder if that was the tie-in that they were kind of going for, kind of smooshing things. He wrote and produced Amityville Cop. Remind me, was this one of the movies that I wasn't a part of for the first part of the season?
No, we haven't watched that either.
Is it on the wheel?
Let me check real quick. The Awakening, Escape, Hauntings. Nope, it's not.
I'm kind of
We
morbidly
should count our blessings.
that, or I'm kind of morbidly curious about that movie. But he wrote and produced Amityville Cop and was writer, director, and producer of Amityville: The Final Chapter, which was originally known as Sickle. Despite the title, there is no character named Emmanuelle in the film, but that's neither here nor there. At one point, you could also see a poster for the movie Samurai Cop in the background. That was interesting. I've seen that movie more times than I really should have. Samurai Cop.
I thought it was Samurai Cop 2.
Samurai Cop 2. That would entail me. It's more of a blink and you miss it in the background. It's partially obscured by stuff on the dresser, and I would have to watch the movie again to double check, and that isn't happening. So not anytime soon. So what did we like about the movie? I'm sure there's stuff we liked about the movie. Del, we're going to start with you.
Okay, I'm going to go through and do the breakdown real quick. Okay, guys. So, this gal is Laura Lutz. And, oh my gosh, those are Ronald DeFeo's ashes that were given to her by a weird-ass neighbor when she moved into her new house. I don't understand it either. That would be Ronald DeFeo's son, who he was adopted. He doesn't know anything. So she gets all excited and oh wait, wrong one. She goes out with this guy, right? Because her friend is like, you haven't gotten laid for a while. You need to go. And so she hooks her up with this guy. Then the next night or so, she goes to a bar and she sees these two guys. And she's like, hey, what you down for? And the guy in front's like, how does that work if you want to have both of it? And the other guy's just like, come on. So they go back to her house and yeehaw. Meanwhile, there's this Ouija board you can see on the ground, and that would be Ronald DeFeo standing there when her friends just decide that they're going to his girlfriend decides that they're just going to go ahead and she's the one over there and have a Ouija board thing at the house, and he sees his dad killing everybody. And so then they're like, "Oh, what do we do about this? Oh, we have all these ashes." And they're like, "Oh, well, he's a history teacher, that I slept with the other night. So we'll have him tell us what to do." And he's like, "Yeah, so this is who it is, but I don't know what to do because I'm a history teacher." And they're like, "Damn." And she's like, "You know what? I have this cousin who has pink hair and diamonds on her head, and she's a medium. So let's go ahead and like summon him." And then he shows up and he's like, "Ah, look, come to daddy." Ah! And then, they have a little bit of household time and a bit of a seance thing. And then they beat the living shit out of the history teacher because he apparently becomes possessed by the ashes when they're doing the seance, because they're like, "Oh, get out of here, dude. You aren't chill enough to be in the circle with us because you don't believe." And so he sits at the table and the ashes fall over and he gets possessed. And they like literally just beat the ever living fuck out of him. And he keeps coming back and they're like, "Oh, we got bats. We've got heavy things. We've got a pan. Crash, crash, crash." And then there's like a 6 months later, "Well, he's been missing for a while. Has anybody said anything?" "No, we just don't bring it up." Okay, that's cool. And so that's kind of the movie.
You're forgetting the pizza. It
Yeah,
is important that they got the pizza.
yeah. They, because when you're having a like seance type thing, you've got to get the pizza, and then
Oh, yeah.
the pizza man's also, you won't guess who he was. Ronald W Jr.
What? No.
Oh, mind blown.
Spoilers.
So
Ruined it for me.
There, you're welcome. You don't have to watch it. Anyway.
Yep. Whole movie done now. Okay. This part cracked me up when she's just trying to pick up two guys in a bar because apparently owning Ronald DeFeo Jr.'s ashes makes you horny, is what she puts it directly. How she's just like, they're like, "You're getting scared and you're getting turned on." She's like, "Yeah, really. I've just been really horny since I got his ashes. I don't know." And like she admit,
Did she
she's saying,
snort them?
"Yeah, I don't know." She just had the ashes
Whoa,
and
threesome.
trying to get a hold of the guy, and she just randomly starts calling up people. And even though he was adopted and didn't have DeFeo as his last name, she got him on the phone on her 13th call. But yeah, I don't know. I thought that this was going somewhere, so I had some like, ooh, is there going to be something interesting about it? But mostly it was just a couple giggle chuckles over things like the one guy trying to figure out how a threesome works. And I enjoyed the girl's pink hair, who was the medium. And I kind of thought that the little diamonds on her face were pretty. And otherwise, that was pretty much it. That's about all I liked about the movie.
Okay. Well, Friday, what did you like about this movie?
I didn't expect this to ever be on my list as constantly as it is. There was a plot. I was happy there was a plot, a followable plot. They had tried really hard, and I don't know. I don't feel like I'm too sinusy to try to be upbeat about this movie. So I'm going with
I
that.
hear cocaine works.
Not enough in the world.
Oh, okay. Chaos, what did you like about this movie?
It was short and it had a plot. And
All
it
right.
ended.
And it ended.
Credit.
That seems to be coming up for a lot of these Amityville movies.
Yeah, it does.
I'm sensing a theme. So, Ron, what did you like about this movie?
I will be a little bit more fair in my judgment of it because honestly, I do think that it had a pretty solid concept that they could have done a lot with. But for every positive thing that there was to like about the movie, there was at least one negative thing not to like about the movie. So it sort of, you know, cancels itself out in terms of being a good movie, and it just ended up being a meh movie. I mean, you can take it or leave it. You know, I like the concept, but again, there's a negative thing about that concept, which I can get into when we start talking about the things that we don't like. I would have liked to have seen more. Well, I guess that's a negative thing. If I say I would have liked to see more action because there wasn't enough. Yeah. So it was a movie that was made, and kudos to the people that got the movie made because they put some effort into making a movie, and they should get kudos for that. So, okay. There you go.
Hooray. A for effort.
I don't really know what to say.
I know. I'm just, it's
I'm-
like
I'm
you made a
trying to be fair.
movie. You made a movie. Here's your participation ribbon.
Yeah,
I
right.
could see you doing that, and I would be behind you laughing my head off. But Tom Dog,
The
what
girls
did you
were
like about
nice
this movie?
looking. They were attractive, you know, when they did the whole Emmanuelle scenes. And I mean,
Yeah.
they were easy on the eyes. I'm a male. I mean, it was like the one part of the movie I did try to watch. So, but dinner took precedent. What do you want me to say?
Yeah. Give or take. Tom Dog, what did you like about this movie?
There were some some comedy scenes, some comedy bits in there that I thought were pretty funny. For when I read the Tubi description, because I saw it on Tubi, it only said horror. Should have been comedy, but we'll get to that when we cross that bridge in a few minutes. So the guy that the guy that threw the Ouija board over. I mean, you could tell that he graduated from Tom Cruise School of Acting. So yeah, that was pretty funny. And the one line that's quotable, and which I had to rewind and replay because it was funny, was "Buy me a drink and I'll like the longer version." And so yeah, little innuendo there, and I like that. So, and there was a plot, there was a passable plot to the movie, which I thought was because it was a pretty good concept, and I think we all can agree with that. And yeah, it was and one more thing that I liked about it was there were a couple of good scary scenes, like a good little, oh boy, that little, not that big of a jump scare, but just the right amount of jump scare. Where the guy's walking across in the mirror, and he just stops and then he disappears. That was good editing. So yeah, I had a little bit of just the right amount of scary part in there, and that was good.
Huh. Okay. Well, as far as I go, it's the same thing as everybody else has made. This is a brief movie, 66 minute runtime. However, I did thought that this movie is magic in that it's short. It feels longer than the actual runtime because it strikes that weird cosmic balance where it feels like it's being rushed and yet it's taking too long. It's dragging at the same time. I mean, that's just some weird messing with the time-space continuum right there. Some Lovecraftian crap going on. But this movie was definitely not Amityville Karen as far as the acting. I will give it that. At least there was an attempt made to tie it in with the proper Amityville movies, with the callback to George Lutz and the DeFeo murders. Emphasis on the word attempt, because I think it was implied that she bought the Amityville house, but there was no establishing shot of the house. At least Amityville Christmas Vacation did that in a fashion, but the inside of the house just looked like more of an apartment. It was kind of smaller on the inside. But my favorite part of the movie, my very favorite part of the movie is the character of May, that's played by Jocelyn Liu. Her acting style seems reminiscent of that of a space alien that's stranded on Earth and trying to pass as human. And that scene where she's meeting with Don Church, where she gives the exposition on the ashes and of the guy, and it had me laughing out loud. It had a cadence like she's reading cue cards for the first time, and she pauses just like she's waiting for the cue card to change. And it was, I actually had to rewind it in a fashion and watch it again. It was brilliant, if you want to call it that. Okay, fine. Anyway, so with that thought in mind, what didn't we like about the movie? Del?
Okay. I don't actually think it was supposed to be implied that that was the Amityville house. It was just that she would, because it would have been, then it would have been like, oh, you're coming home from your Lutz family roots, or it would have, there would have been some emphasis on like you living there. Now, how in the hell the lady knew where she lived? Yeah, I don't know. But yeah, the house was definitely not the Amityville house from the outside. Although I did enjoy the flowers. That was another thing I liked. They had very good landscaping in front of her house. I didn't care for the just weird the need for all this, like, ooh, we're gonna have hot sexy sex, and it was like really not hot sexy sex. It was all we're wearing clothes and like just smashing our faces together trying to make it look passionate, but it just looks really like two 13-year-olds that don't know what they're doing, that got stuck in like 50-year-olds bodies making out or something. That yeah, if there was supposed to be an element of sexiness to that, there really wasn't. And they tried a number of times, but it was all, very, very clothed, weird sexiness, weird anti-sexiness almost. It made you kind of want to just, oh, you guys need, how old are you?
I have a question. I have a question. Correct me if I'm wrong. I could be wrong. But isn't technically for a threesome, doesn't at least one of the participants have to be bi? Otherwise,
no,
it's really more of a gangbang.
No.
Okay. I've never been part of this, and I've never really thought about the implications past when I was 15 and kind of giggling at, stupid things like this. So you learn something new every day.
That will be an after the show lesson. Because I don't think we really want to get into that during the show right now.
Kids, for more information on threesomes, go ahead and ask your parents or check your local library for more information.
Don't do that.
Get him out.
Mm-hmm.
Don't judge me.
I deserve that. Anyway.
Thanks, Raz.
I deserve that. So, Friday, what didn't you like about the movie?
They never read a romance book in their lives. They have no, I don't think they ever actually had anything passionate in their lives. And it showed. It was rushed, and it's like a guy who has only watched really bad porn had told them how to act.
That explains the name.
And
Mhm.
exactly. A lot of it was so forced. It was not funny. Of course, as we said before, the acting was, do you even know how on some of them? And besides a lot of bad sex scenes, there were no killing scenes. There was
One, I think.
there how in a movie like this, how many do you expect to see? Anyway, they don't know. There's anyway. Moving on. Somebody else.
Okay, Chaos. What didn't you like about the movie?
Okay, apparently I've been tagged in here. Well, I'm trying to figure out what the hell was with the. I'm gonna have a conversation with this creepy, horrible acting lady who just gave me these ashes yesterday, and then proceed to go back to my room for special alone time.
Yeah, that was weird.
Just went straight from the conversation in the morning to right to the bedroom for the special alone time.
With a ghost.
That
But the ghost with all his clothes still on, apparently.
Yeah. Just that lack of transition just kind of broke my brain for a minute. And then, oh my God, I've seen better acting in porn movies than May gave in that entire movie.
Okay. Well, I'm
Yeah.
sorry I got caught up on the fact that I'm just wondering how much porn you've actually seen in the past. But anyway, moving along here. Okay. Did you see any of the ones with me in it? Ron, what did you not like?
Are we preparing for a big one here, Ron?
I don't know yet because I've been formulating my thoughts this entire time. I will start by saying the first thing that I don't like is the name because it has absolutely nothing to do with the movie itself. I thought at first Emmanuelle would be the name of the ghost that was causing all of the problems, but apparently it was not. So then I thought maybe Emmanuelle was some kind of Bible reference that they were going to be making sometime within the movie, but then that didn't happen either. And now I'm learning from James' trivia at the beginning of the show that the director of the movie has several other movies which have the name Emmanuelle in it. So therefore, I can only assume that Emmanuelle is a call that this may be an adult-oriented movie, that Emmanuelle has something to do with maybe soft porn. That's the only thing I can think of. The director is trying to cash in on one, the Amityville name, and two, their other line of movies. And I'm pretty sure that the two have nothing to do with each other whatsoever. The second thing I have wrong with this movie is that the original Amityville was back in the early 70s. Therefore, for Laura Lutz to be the daughter of George Lutz and for this Ronald DeFeo, I guess the third, since the original killer was Ronald DeFeo Jr., this is never actually explained. That means that they would have had to have been born in either the late 60s or 1970, 71-ish, around there, which would put them in their 50s, possibly even close to 60, and yet none of these actors looked that old. They were probably in their late 20s, early 30s. So I can only assume that maybe they were going off of the 2005 version of Amityville Horror, which had Ryan Reynolds, which would play more to the age, but that was never explained, which I find really weird considering that this entire movie is based on exposition to try to tell that this story is connected to the Amityville franchise. As much time as they spent trying to connect it by saying that Laura Lutz is the daughter of George Lutz and that this guy, Ronald DeFeo, is the son of the serial killer, they never actually explain anything. I don't even think they give a name of the town where this is actually taking place. So the only thing that I can infer from this movie is that since the Ronald DeFeo III was there when they were doing the Ouija board, we know from other Ouija board movies that if you do not close out your session, then you're leaving a door open for the spirit to cross over into our realm, into our world. And since the Ouija board got knocked over, then that left the spirit of Ronald DeFeo Jr. in the room with them, which is basically what started causing all of the havoc to begin with. And then somehow Laura Lutz got tracked down by this weird, insane lady whose backstory is never really divulged, and other than she knew George Lutz that at the time that the murders actually happened. And there's a whole backstory about that too, which you can either take it or leave it, but that was never divulged in the original movie. So, okay, that's new trivia, I guess. But since she has the urn, they immediately come to the conclusion that they have to destroy the ashes in order to get rid of the ghost of Ronald DeFeo Jr. And somehow that's how the whole plot is connected. Okay, I can get that, but you're not really connecting the dots within the exposition of the movie by saying, oh shit, we left the portal open for the ghost of Ronald DeFeo Jr. to step through into our world, and as long as the ashes are there, he can do whatever he wants. But nobody ever makes that connection that the two things might actually be related. So it's all of this exposition, and they spent so much time on it that they forgot what they were actually making a movie about. There should have been more action. There should have been more deaths. Every single person in the group survived. Nobody died. There wasn't a final girl. One person gets beat up, he disappears, but nobody died. Maybe the pizza guy. I don't know.
Guy in the blue shirt died when he was trying to drive his car away. And then the vehicle was gone, and we never saw what happened after that.
He doesn't
It was
count.
implied, but it was never actually shown. You just show that Ronald DeFeo was standing in front of the car, so you reasonably assume something happened to him, but you never actually see the body.
True.
It happened off camera, so we don't know if the guy died or not. Maybe his friend rushed him to the hospital. Who knows? But that's neither here nor there. The fact is,
sorry, didn't mean to break you up there. Yeah,
was not very graphic. There wasn't a lot of blood. There wasn't a lot of guts, as has been the case in some of the other Amityville movies that we have watched. Even the character of Ronald DeFeo Jr., since he's never actually been that much on screen before, except in flashbacks, doing the killing from the original movies, we don't really know what his character was like. But I have a really hard time thinking that he would be going around, here's daddy, daddy's gonna get you. I have a hard time believing that would be his character. To me, it seemed oddly reminiscent of Jack Nicholson in The Shining. Here's Johnny, and like he's trying to play off of that. And the whole thing, it came across campy and cheesy, and just it didn't really strike me as that's how he would actually be as a serial killer that murdered his entire family. I would think a guy with a shotgun that is capable of killing his entire family would not have such a hard time killing all of these damn kids, in this apartment trying to perform this seance or exorcism or whatever. And then they're like chasing around the apartment and all of that. Nobody really knows what's going on. And then the final thing is, okay, hey, all of a sudden it's over. Okay, sure. Well, what are we going to do now? Well, let's order a pizza. Yeah. Okay. That's the first thing I'm going to think about after I just went through a traumatic ordeal of exorcising some demon that was a serial killer. That's the first thing I'm going to think about. Oh gosh, I'm hungry. Let's order a pizza. And then they dragged that part out entirely too long that you knew there had to be something next. And oh my gosh, what is it? Oh no, the pizza guy is Ronald W Jr. Who would have seen that coming? Well, fucking everybody, because they dragged the part out too damn long that you knew something was going to happen. So obviously that's where they're going to end it. Leave it on a cliffhanger. I don't know. It's just clearly
that Ronald DeFeo Jr. after their experience in the movie, he had to go out and find the job as the pizza delivery guy, work his way up, and then wait for them to actually call that particular restaurant for the delivery.
That's why it took so long to get to that point for the pizza to show up. 30 minutes or less, bullshit. I mean, it'll take however long we need in order to get there. But I mean, I feel like the whole movie started out in a really good direction and had a really solid premise. And for the most part, the writing, even with the exposition, it held the whole movie together, but they just lost sight of what they were doing. So even though it might have started out as a good movie, it just kept kind of teetering off until by the end of it, I was so completely out of touch with it. I just really didn't care.
Okay. Wow. Very good points.
I didn't mean, I mean, you were wondering if that was going to be long, if I was going to turn into a rant. And I did not expect it to turn into a rant, but there you go.
Those are the best ones.
Yeah.
Tom Dog, sweetie.
Ranting with Ron. And
what did you not like about the movie there, Tommy?
Okay. The false advertising. This was supposed to be a horror. It was not. It should have been like maybe a little comedy, because it was more into the comedy than it was into the horror. There was no violence in the movie. The violence that was supposed to be in the movie was off screen. The guy Tom offended me. The Tom character offended me as a fellow Tom. Because this kid was so clueless about threesomes, and I was so mad about that. I was like, oh my god, it's like, why did he live? It was horrible. Speaking of which, the love scenes were not that impressive. Especially when the one lovemaking with the couple with discount Tom Cruise and his girlfriend, whenever they started making love, it always jumped right into a scene from the city, and I'm like, okay. So that was pointless. The Ouija board was should have been an actual witch board, instead of having Parker Brothers on the side. That was a letdown. The fighting of beating this guy up that was possessed by the spirit, that was corny. I feel bad for the for the person, for the people or person who had to smoke an entire carton of cigarettes just to get the ashes into the urn. I feel really bad for that. It was horrible. it was just awful, and the fact that it wasn't 66 minutes and 6 seconds was also a disappointment. So anybody who got that, bravo.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was boring. It was more like the it was more like the Amityville boring instead of Emmanuelle.
Well, was it Amityville Sudafed?
Yes.
It'll put you night. But Friday, you had something extra to say there?
How they ran around at the end trying to get away, it was almost like a failed ode to Scooby-Doo.
Yeah, I was thinking the exact same thing. Because they could have like played the music
From Walgreens.
Walgreens, no. They could have just played the Scooby-Doo music or that fake rock and roll they would have on the cartoons. That would have gone perfectly. But Del, something about Killer Sofa?
Yeah, I think a much sexier character in the movies that we've watched throughout the time on this show, that this guy provided much sexier scenes with just him and his gal than anything provided for us in this movie. He was the man, dude. I mean, he knew how to romance and how to be plush. So I'm
That
just
spring
saying.
of his, man.
Yeah.
That spring of his.
Yeah, he had it.
He was definitely a grower, not a shower. But
Fully extended and reclined.
mhm. Oh yeah.
He's no
with or
lazy
without-
boy.
yeah, with or without the drink holder. But boy, this is getting an R rating tonight. What I didn't like about the movie, aside from the feeling that, yeah, I do felt that overall this movie was disjointed, with the majority of it trying to be like a serious movie up until it gave up and just became a live action Looney Tunes reenactment for the last part. I hate to say this, but this is a movie that could have actually worked better if it was 90 minutes long, to let the story and the characters breathe a little bit, because a lot of it did seem kind of rushed. And I especially wanted more scenes with the character of May. A lot more. She should have been part of the last part, because holy cow, her acting. I want more of her. She is the Tommy Wiseau of these movies. It was just amazing. Yes, Ron.
Oh, I was just thinking, why was there a color change whenever the medium was introduced in the movie? The whole color tone of the movie changed from natural color to that. I mean, with everything has a bluish or hue. Why did they do that?
Because she was psychic.
Because spooky.
Ooh.
There
Because
was
somebody
no
turned on the blue light.
There was no point to it.
The whole thing was filmed in a Kmart, and they were doing a special at that moment.
Kmart will have
It's-
better lighting.
Kmart's still a thing. But as far as the big twist at the end, what they should have done was when they were all sitting on the couch laughing and talking about the pizza, the camera should have zoomed out, and it was revealed that they were all trapped in a snow globe on a shelf full of snow globes inside the Amityville house somewhere. It would have made just about as much sense. So there.
And maybe
There's
except
another
there's
little.
Somebody's
Right.
making that now. Just as you said that, there's some guy who just scrolled down and is
Amityville.
gonna like
Hold on. You got
Evil
more?
snow
Okay.
globe.
Amityville Krampus, here we go. I mean, if you want to put me as a producer credit or writing credit, by all means, I could use the cash. So
You could almost just pick any word and put it with Amityville, and you got a movie right there, like Amityville Tiddlywinks or something.
or
And
Amityville Barca Lounger.
show.
The guy who made Killer Sofa really should get in on this, like Amityville Barca Lounger.
No, we want a really good Killer Sofa 2. A really good one.
Hey, maybe we should get the Velocipaster to come and do an exorcism on the house
Hmm.
for the ashes.
Oh wow, my brain just went to places. But before,
Third monster.
right? Amityville. Oh. I believe that was Killer Toilet.
Yeah,
Death Toilet.
Yeah, Death Toilet. If that okay, we really need to pay some bills now before this gets out of hand. So we'll be right back with some other plugs, ratings, and recommendations, and Sam's review. So. Just
Greetings and shabibans. We are the Retro Reductibus Cephala Podcast, a long-form bi-weekly show that celebrates all the things that made growing up awesome.
Well, that sounds good, but I don't know what all those words mean.
I think what Parasite seems trying to say is that on Retro Reductibus, we explore a range of retro goodness, from toys, video games, and movies, to cartoons, and even snacks and school lunches.
Oh.
And we do it all with a positive spin, a slew of killer guests, and some very adult language.
And you know what else is cool?
No.
This crazy show is part of the Door King Podcast Network with new episodes every Tentacle Tuesday.
What's that?
And if waiting 2 weeks for a new episode gives you a sad, know that we drop bonus episodes all the time, like the off-format Crow's Nest and an interview series we call The Brig.
You can listen to Retro Reductibus on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, or any app that's cool enough to carry the only show that celebrates all the things that make growing up awesome.
And welcome back. So we here at the Owlite Network, and especially the Tomb of the Terrible, encourage everybody to read as much as possible. So, Friday, what kind of books should we be reading?
Preferably any book you enjoy, but we have some suggestions of our and first, to address this, yes, the previous comment, but also according to the conversation in the chat, there might be stories in another book that they could try, but that's for another show. But the ones we're trying to you'll see the ads later from our lovely Cthulhu overlord Stefan. But anyway, the Owlite Menagerie, did it come up? There it is a set of stories that the only theme is we are the Owlite Network and we write and we have some really amazing authors. And there are stories about a video game, there's stories about an angel, there's stories about a basically the Groundhog Day in a mental institution. And there's a ghost story and a story about an owl and a mouse and so many more. And all the proceeds for the first year goes to the Pro Literacy Foundation. Every adult has the right to literacy. So we would love it if you bought the book or if you gave them a donation, either way. And on the 25th, the Nightmare Whiskers book just came out. We have a great set of stories in here. We have stories about spiders. We have stories about creatures that are taller than the trees. We have stories about a science project that has definitely gone wrong. And we have stories of all types. And please come see what monsters we collectively came up with. And there are some scary ones. And I'm just sad Gronk cannot be my best friend.
Okay. Well, ratings and recommendations now. So, Del, what would you rate this and would you recommend it?
Oh God, no. No, this would not get a recommendation at all. I have been known to give zeros in the past. I'm giving this one a 2 just so that I don't have to give out more zeros. If that makes any sense. It wasn't like we're saying, and this is so horrible that we have to say it, it was a movie. Unlike Manos Hands of Fate. And like the soundtrack did line up with the actual footage and there was this plot. As far Tom Dog was saying false advertising, it wasn't horror. This falls into a category that, it's not horror. It's not, it's just movie. Like if you looked up genre, there wouldn't be one. It's just like, no, this is just a movie. But what kind of movie? Just a movie. That's what it is. It's a movie.
I'm wondering if Amityville is becoming its own genre now.
It has its own Fangoria award.
Yeah. Fangoria has an Amityville award.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, 2 and no recommendations.
Okay. Friday, what would you recommend this and what would you rate it?
2. I have read better books from Dollar General. Actually, lately they have a whole lot of good ones. So I'm just saying, when I was younger, they had the book selection was kind of low, but they have like books you wouldn't believe now, like Laurel King Hamilton, which I wasn't expecting. But I have definitely, I wouldn't recommend this movie to anybody. We'll give it a 2. The only reason I shared the links in the group and everything was because it was part of the stuff.
Because she had to.
Okay, fair enough. Fun Fun fact: I once saw a whole rack of L. Ron Hubbard books on sale at the Dollar General
Ooh,
back in the '90s.
nice.
Were they the Mission Earth
Didn't we get
series?
that one book, Elder Scrolls, Dollar General? Oh, Dollar Tree.
I think it was Battlefield Earth. But anyway, Chaos. What would you rate this movie, and would you recommend it yourself?
I would not recommend it at all.
Okay.
And I have to give it a 1 for the simple fact that it had a plot, and that's it.
Okay. Fair enough. Fair enough. Gazoon Height. Tom.
Thank you.
That was adorable. Ron, what would you rate this movie, and would you recommend it?
I would rate this movie a full meh. I started out wanting to like this movie, and I thought that it had a good concept, so I was pretty darn willing to actually give it a 4, but then it just kept going downhill. So it might have started out like a 4, but it basically ended up around, like Dell said, a 2, because I started losing interest after a while. No, I could not recommend this movie because there was really nothing to keep my interest, and I don't want to be known as that guy that's going to recommend a movie that I couldn't even, get through watching myself. If there had been better sex scenes, or if there had been more killing or more gore or more violence, then maybe I would have recommended it just on, the sheer campiness factor alone. But there was really nothing to it other than just exposition. If I wanted that, hell, I'd read a book. I'd go buy Battlefield Earth from Dollar General and read that. It's 1,066 pages of exposition. So, yeah, I mean, I can't even stack it up against Battlefield Earth.
Had that pizza actually shown up in the movie, it would have been given more. But Tom Dog, what would you rate this, and would you recommend it?
I'm gonna rate this like Dell and Ron, a solid deuce. This was crappy. So a solid deuce.
And picking up where Pyle should have been doing. But anyway, we miss you, Pyle. Hope we can see you here again soon. But anyway, proceed. Sorry about that.
Yes. And would I recommend this? No. I can't in good conscience recommend this to anybody because like I have to agree with Ron on this one. There was a plot, but then it just started going downhill, and it was just horrible. And the fact that we don't know why it's called Amityville Emanuelle, which it just makes no sense. And the sex scenes were disappointing, but with me talking, I'll talk about threesomes on my show, so that's not worried about it. That. And anyways, because that's just right up my alley. And
wait, what?
So
huh?
Tonight we're talking about crossing swords.
And see, this is why I'm here.
We gave our disclaimer, right? I mean, okay.
Yeah.
Tonight on the show, we're rating butt plugs. Now,
Amityville
That's
butt
next
plug.
week's show.
That's what she
They
said.
probably made it okay.
Love you, Raz. And it was just awful. And, it was just a disappointment all around and everything. It could have been something had it been something, but it was none of that. So yeah, solid deuce, no recommendations.
Okay. We're all agreed at least on that, on the recommending part, because believe it or not, I'm giving it a 4 out of 10, but mostly that hinges on a solid 2 coming from the character of May and that actress alone. Otherwise, I can't really recommend this to anybody. I've been watching and reviewing B movies for a very, very long time in my half century of existence here. One thing that you learn is that you should never use the poster art to figure out what the quality of the movie is. In this case, almost nothing on the poster art actually has anything to do with the movie itself. This is Amityville Emanuelle is the perfect example of like all sizzle, no steak. And it would have been marginally better if it leaned more toward either being serious or just embracing the silly, like on Amityville Christmas Vacation. As a matter of fact, I would recommend watching Amityville Christmas Vacation again.
That was a good one.
Yeah, that was a very good one. So, at this point, we're doing the 5-star reviews. I did find one. However, Del will also be reading our permanent honorary host, honorary guest, Sam. We're going to hear his take, but the only one I could find on Amazon for a 5-star review, it's A Great Watch by Richard A. D. A is in Amityville, D is in dumb. But super fun, creepy, and intense. Great to have seen my good friends Dawn and Jesselyn do magnificent performances. Great job to all the production team. Thanks. And thank you, Richard. Your endorsement check is in the mail. So we can see why that got a 5-star review from that guy. But Del, why don't you go ahead and tell us what Sam thought of this?
Okay, so our honorary, our super Amityville expert who has been joining us off and on when he has time, Sam Panico, B&S About Movies review on IMDb. Oh my God, my computer's blowing up. Okay, he gave it a 2 out of 10. The title of this is You're No Amityville Vibrator, which is actually one of the movies out there, guys. So here's what Sam had to say. I worry about AI a lot because, I work as a writer in my non-constantly watching movies and writing about them time. I've been in this field for 25 years or more. This gets relevant for this movie as well, I promise. And I feel like I've been fighting Skynet since 1984, and now I'm being asked to embrace it. This is all being confided in you, dear reader, because I feel like Amityville Emanuelle has been concocted by the very same eye that I've been asked to use for my work, and not director Louis De Stefano, who also plays Detective James and is directing his first movie, and Gino McGahee, producer of Call Me Emmanuel, The Awakening of Emmanuel, and the writer and producer of Amityville Cop, and the writer, director, and producer of Amityville The Final Chapter, which was originally known as Sickle. How else can we explain a movie that has Amityville, a spirit board, and name checks the character invented by Emmanuelle Arsène that has become a brand in itself, remixed, remade, and ripped off into so many different characters, whether black, white, or in space? How long did it take before someone realized that Emmanuelle and Amityville are both available to put together and lure me into watching 65 minutes of the results? That's why I blame AI. If you have watched any of the post-relevant Amityville movies by now, you can stop after the Canadians ones if you're like most people, or after the In the Hood ones if you're like me. You should never look at the poster and decide to watch these movies. I promise you that hardly anything on this art happens in the movie or even gets close to it, and looking at it will only spoil you for visuals that its creators and budget are unable to deliver. As you know, you must know, On November 13th, 1974, Ronald W Jr. shot and killed 6 members of his family at 112 Ocean Avenue in the suburban neighborhood of Amityville, located somewhere on the South Shore of Long Island, New York. This movie accepts that, and even starts with a quick-cut version of it to set up what we see next. 20-some years later, Laura Lutz, Dawn Church, is working in marketing, of which she says, I market things. I get people to buy things. It's like advertising. As I screamed at the screen while I actually did marketing, inches away from this prompt created attempt to finally destroy my Amityville-obsessed black soul. She's also trying to date and hasn't gotten any for a year because of, yes, marketing. And good Lord, this movie is trying my soul because it's hitting so close to home, my dog is trembling as the house shakes this way and that. She ends up going on a double date with her friend Allie, Linda S. Wong, and hooking up with a Nibbish teacher named Evan, Chris Spinelli, who seems to be acting for the back rows of a theater that no longer exists. Oh, I nearly forgot. Some lady brought over a box of objects from her father, George Lutz, who was played by James Brolin and Ryan Reynolds once, long before Amityville movies were made on a daily basis, and I had to search Tubi every morning at 3:15 a.m. to see which ones had possessed my smart TV, forcing me to watch them, my eyes sleepily open simply through just a touch of Lucifer's burning hand. One of the objects in the box of occult stuff her dad kept all these years looks like a cocktail shaker, but the filmmakers assure us that it's an urn. Well, that urn has the ashes of Ronald W Jr. in it, the father of this movie's other lead, Gordon, Shane Ryan Reed, who has been seeing visions of his murderous father more and more since he died in jail. And when his girlfriend Gina, Ali Perez, gets a Ouija board as a housewarming gift from Scott, Johnny Avila, and May, Jocelyn Liu, I mean, who does this kind of thing? What kind of gift is that? Don't you know what happens? Well, they're lucky because Gina's cousin Janet, St. Hart, is a medium. They need her pretty bad right now. She's sure she's going to die. So she makes Gina promise to take care of her cat, Roman, because Laura gets possessed by the spirit, and it makes her hook up with 2 dudes at a bar and shows up inside her bed while she's chilling off. Worst of all, Evan has gone murderous, killing everyone that comes close to her. I fear that in all these words, I've somehow made Amityville Emanuelle more exciting than it is. It's an Amityville with no real Amityville, not even a shot of the house, just connected to real people whose lives were destroyed by the case. And I can handle exploitation. I wallow in it. Let's be honest. But when you get nowhere deeper than saying, these are the kids of Amityville, and then just have them sit in a living room, this underwhelms even when I barely expected it to whelm. But adding to that ennui is the fact that they've somehow made an Emmanuelle movie with no nudity and some of the most boring lovemaking scenes you'll see outside of an afternoon soap opera. In fact, in one, the guy pulls a blanket over Laura's shoulders while she's on top of him. This is an Emmanuelle movie with one M, and that means that Joe D'Amato is practically spinning so fast in his grave now that he is about to burst forth from the earth at the utter gall of making even a softcore sex movie the unsexiest sex you've ever seen since you found your parents' hardback of Dr. Alex Comfort's The Joy of Sex. Children of the 70s, remember when the only nudity you could find was in the Sears catalog bra pages? That was volcanic compared to this flaccid nonsense. Nearly everyone that acted in this either produced or also worked behind the camera. No one is blameless. You did it to yourself. You do, and that's what really hurts, as they say, or sing. You know, if Joe D'Amato was alive, he'd be making movies with titles a lot like this, but they'd also have half the cast torn to shreds and sitting bloody and congealing in an acid bathtub while a school marmish maid gave her adopted child of a master of a furtive hand job, because that's how you know you really made a scummy movie. Please learn from the masters.
Wow.
I thoroughly enjoyed that.
Sam's got
Okay.
away, man.
Yes, he
You're
does.
right.
We need him on the show again. If you're watching, and I know you are welcome here anytime, sir. So
He should have been on.
So let's go ahead and spin the wheel to see what we're going to be, tortured with next week.
Ah, yes.
So-
Yes. You shall get the wheel ready. Oh, I got to bing. Make it big. Everybody ready?
I'm ready.
2 seconds.
Sure.
Okay.
Okay.
Amityville.
Amityville Scarecrow.
Okay.
Okay. Done.
All right. Amityville Scarecrow. I have heard of this before. I'm just not aware of what it is. I
have a
presume
com-
there's a scarecrow.
I'm hoping.
It
I
is
started
a
watching
Tubi.
this one already, but I have not finished it. And they loosely try to tie it into the Amityville series as well, although it takes place like way the fuck after everything. And it really has nothing to do with Amityville whatsoever. And some of the people have like British or Scottish accents or some kind of European accents, which it really made no sense to me, considering that it's supposed to be located in Amityville. So I don't know. I haven't finished watching the movie, so I can't really give you much more than that.
Maybe it's a New England accent. Some people try to do that one with.
Okay.
Okay.
Wow.
We're
Scottish. Aye.
I was kind of
Amityville,
wondering.
haggis.
Yeah, pretty much. Amityville sheep stomach. There we go.
Was there a scarecrow that you were aware of?
Yeah, there is a scarecrow in the movie, but it makes it no different than any other scarecrow movie where the scarecrow is killing people.
Okay.
All right.
Well, we'll find
Spoiler
out
alert.
more. We'll find out more next
dying.
week.
I wonder if it's
somebody
anything.
dies
I wonder if it has, if it seems like the scary stories to tell in the dark.
It's kind of oddly put together, I think, but you'll find out.
Well,
Okay.
we shall talk about it next week.
Yeah.
We don't want to ruin it.
Do we? Do we really? Anyway, so Del, where can we find you?
You can find me at Carrie Sanders, spelled Kari, on Facebook. If you see this, that is me judging you, and you have found me. From there, you can find links to my author page. You can find links to all of the Owlite things that I'm involved in. You can find links to splash pages. Usually every Sunday and Monday, you will be finding me here on Owlite. Every Tuesday, you'll find me on splash pages. This week, we have Thatcher E. Cleveland coming. He writes novels, short stories, and comics. Has a Kickstarter going right now with Grim Reefer that we will be focusing on, and is also a comic book letterer, graphic designer, and actor. So yeah, that's where you can find me and where I'll be and what I'm doing.
Cool. Friday, where can we find you?
I am everywhere. I am at Owlite Network. I'm at Fake Horror. I'm at Friday with the Library with the Blue Box, and I'm at Jennifer Elliott, and I pretend to be random people, and I like to write ghost stories.
Okay. Chaos, where can we find you?
In the trunk, let me out.
Wow. Yes, from left field. Okay.
Okay. Nicely done. Ron, where can we find you?
You can find me at my author page on Facebook, Ronald W Gillespie Jr. -author. If you want to keep up with all the things that I'm writing, and I have to say I've been terrible about updating it lately, although I hear we have an anthology of poetry coming out, which I know nothing about, though I'm going to try to submit something for it. So maybe I'll start making updates on that. You can also find me on TikTok. I am a martial artist by trade. So if you're into that sort of thing, then you can find me under @Wolf Dojo, Wolf with a U, WULF DOJO. And I'm also very bad at updating that one as well. So I'm very lax in my duties lately. But now that haunt season is over, I will try to make a concerted effort to actually get back to doing all the things and being a productive person. No promises.
All right. Tom Dog, where can we find you?
Okay, you can find me at TomArcade69 on the Bro Pro channel on YouTube. After a really good Ghostbusters month, I'm going to be taking it really easy this week on Channel X. Doing a laid back show on answer any fan questions that anybody has. And then on Saturday we got the Wrestling Prime thing going on there, and we're gonna have some fun there. And in order for you to watch all the tomfoolery that I plan on doing this week, there's only one thing you got to do, and that is face hug that subscribe button.
All right, cool. And I am, as always, your humble servant, UncleNecRo. You can find me on Facebook, on Instagram, and on Twitter, currently known as X. You can also find me at my childhood farmhouse, yelling at squirrels outside, or making up stories in my head, and sometimes writing them down for fun and profit. So until next time, remember to try not to think about threesomes too much. Spay and neuter your friends, and seek help.
Spay and neuter your friends before the threesome.
But I said get out. What the hell? The movie's over.
Everybody else is hearing this, right?
Get out of here.
Okay.
They're
Okay.
gonna have another sequel. I don't want that.
Sometimes I hear this at the supermarket.